For some reason, unless you take part in exercise like CrossFit, weightlifting seems to be where plyometrics go to die. But why? Should they? Why not keep doing them? And how can they fit into your training regimen? Let's find out. I'm Annie Miller, and I help you learn as you train and enjoy your lifts again without having to figure it out for yourself. And I help coaches build sustainable and data-backed online health and fitness businesses without selling their soul to vanity metrics. I did plyometrics heavily in sports. I played soccer competitively for 14 years and also partook in competitive cheerleading for 11 years. I did my fair share of lower body and upper body plyometrics in both of these sports. And then I continued on to college, where I enrolled in speed, agility, and quickness classes. And from there, I interned in college as a strength and conditioning coach, where explosive exercises were a normal part of our programming from a coaching standpoint. Then I didn't. I just stopped. When I began weightlifting on my own, the ladder drills, the box jumps, the med ball throws, they all just disappeared. And frankly, I wish they wouldn't have. So I am bringing them back into my own training at 34 years of age, nearly a decade later. And I want to share with you how plyometrics can fit into your programming design as well. Plyometrics are great. They challenge our central nervous system and they keep us feeling athletic or hyper aware of how we lack athleticism. Either way, they can be beneficial. So what are they? What constitutes plyometric movement? Merriam-Webster says, exercise involving repeated rapid stretching and contracting of muscles to increase muscle power. And Physiopedia says, plyometrics is defined as the exercises that enable a muscle to reach maximum force in a short period of time. It is a quick, powerful movement involving pre-stretching the muscle tendon unit, followed by a subsequent stronger concentric contraction, aka quick eccentric movement followed by quick concentric movement. Oftentimes plyometrics are synonymous with box jumps, but these definitions show us that they can come in many different forms, many muscles inside the body. And that is what I want you to think about in terms of your own programming. Plyometrics have a high CNS demand, like I mentioned. That doesn't mean that you can't do them at the end of your workout, but think about why you're doing them in the first place. One, they are best used for development and expressing explosive movement, so force over time, meaning they require that quickest muscle contraction for you to move fast, literally as fast as possible. And number two, they recruit your type 2B muscle fibers. These are your big daddies with the largest diameter, the fastest contraction time, and the lowest oxidative capacity, meaning that they fatigue very quickly, which is also why repeated max power is a difficult thing to achieve. This is why I suggest doing them at the start of a workout before working strength sets. Now, if you're doing them for cardio, as they do tend to be high intensity, then it doesn't matter where you do them in your workout. Let me know if you are currently doing plyometrics in your training or what type of plyometrics you are doing if you're doing them. Let's go ahead and look at some examples of upper, lower, and full body plyometric exercises. For the upper body, we have things like plyometric push-ups, wall med ball passes, or cable push-pull punches. For the lower body, we have things like the jump matrix, a box jump, or hurdle hops. And for full body, this normally requires some kind of rotation, but not always. So we have one example with rotation, which would be wood chops, and another one without rotation, which is slam balls. It is really important to know why you are doing the plyometric, like I mentioned earlier. So plyo push-ups look really cool, and yes, if you need explosive power through your upper body, that might be something that you do. But if you are just concerned with building muscle, which we will discuss in a second, it may not be the best choice of exercise for you, as there is a really heavy eccentric force when you are landing on your hands. And if you are only concerned with building muscle, then just doing some kind of chest exercise with a big chest across the pecs is going to be a better option. But it is an upper body plyometric exercise if that is something you're looking for. Which leads us to the question of how plyometrics fit into your program. For what? If you're looking to feel athletic and produce power, then I suggest, again, doing them at the start of your workout. Maybe this is doing something like a jump matrix before your upper body session, as to not fatigue your legs before a lower body session. Maybe this is med ball wall chest passes to prime the upper body before a bench press session. Maybe it is a med ball wall throw to get some rotational work in. Maybe it's box jumps before deadlift day. You have a lot of options. But if max power output is the goal of these plyometrics for you, then generally you want to keep them early in the workout when you are most fresh and primed. In which case, I suggest being sure to rest adequately between your bouts. How much is enough rest? This article, Preferential Type 2 Muscle Fiber Damage from Plyometric Exercises, only looked at 8 untrained individuals, which is a very small sample size, but via blood testing pre and post repeated squat jumps, they found significant data that supports the favoring and and damage of primarily type 2B muscle fibers, like I mentioned earlier. The article states athletic trainers should avoid prescribing high-volume plyometric exercise bouts within quick succession or after other forms of high-intensity exercise that are known to stress the fast-twitch muscle fibers, those are your type 2B muscle fibers, so that the athletes have sufficient time to regenerate damaged fibers. Thus, be sure to rest 3 minutes at least between sets of plyos that you are doing for that max power output. If you're less concerned with that repeat power output, then rest is less important. If doing weighted plyos, there is even higher potential for those type 2B muscle fibers to be recruited, as you're simply increasing the intensity of that exercise. This video is not about strength, but there is evidence around back squats and jump squats or box jumps and increased potential for 1 rep max back squat numbers following that plyometric work. This is due to something called post-activation potentiation. So fun. I will go ahead and link a systematic review that I really like here if that is something that is interesting to you. It is called post-activation potentiation in strength training. So can you superset a strength exercise with a plyometric exercise? Does that make sense? I would ask why. Is the goal muscle growth? This review, called Effects of Plyometrics versus Resistance Training on Skeletal Muscle Hypertrophy, asked a question that I really am excited to see the answer of, which is, can a training intervention combining plyometric and resistance training exercises provide additive benefits that would be in comparison to strength training alone for muscle growth? They concluded, we need more research, LOL. They didn't say LOL, but no significant data was found to support that combining the two is any more beneficial than just weight training alone. Here comes my opinion for what it's worth. I would not mix these two. For me and my clients, I rarely combine the two. I want to get the most out of my weight training for muscle growth, and I use plyometrics for power development. I keep them separate for those purposes, not for muscle growth. So keeping them separate and giving both of them full efforts seems best in my opinion. Though plyometrics can clearly be advantageous for muscle growth, getting at those type 2B muscle fibers, that is my current take. I hope you enjoy these educated gains, and I'll see you in the next one.